Unfortunately, humans have not always shown compassion toward animals. Alongside hands that showed love, there were also hands that subjected them to suffering. Sometimes in the name of science, sometimes for the sake of power, animals were silently sacrificed. 1. Remote-controlled mice. Controlling brains with a button, 1973. In 1973, an experiment led by neuroscientist Dr. Jose Delgado in the US attempted to turn the idea of controlling living beings' minds into reality. The experiment was conducted at Yale University's laboratories. Delgado's method was as follows. Electrodes were surgically implanted into the rat skulls and connected to the amygdala and hypothalamus regions of their brains. These regions are particularly associated with fear, anger, and movement control. The rats were then directed by a remote control connected to a radio frequency. Delgado could turn the rat right or left with the push of a simple button, and even instantly stop aggressive behavior. This technology was called a stymaceiver. The goal: complete control over the brain. The experiment caught the attention of military intelligence. Documents show that such systems were evaluated for use on larger animals, even humans. 2. Dream Thieves. Sleep deprivation torture on cats, Sweden 1974. In 1974, a dark experiment on sleep was conducted in Stockholm, Sweden. The goal of the experiment was to test the limits of mental and physical collapse by completely preventing cats from entering REM sleep, or the dream phase. A total of 15 cats were placed in cages equipped with specially designed alarm systems. Every time the cats entered the REM phase, they were stimulated with electric shocks or loud noises, preventing their brains from producing dreams. On the third day of the experiment, the cats exhibited coordination problems, aggression, and disorientation. 5 cats died of cerebral hemorrhage after 72 hours. The remaining cats showed mental collapse, hallucinations, and a constant state of fear. The experiment was conducted to prove that sleep deprivation can permanently damage the brain structure. This study was never disclosed to the public. 3. Tobacco companies' deadly monkey tests, 2004. In 2004, the world-renowned tobacco company Philip Morris used 25 chimpanzees as test subjects in an experiment conducted in secret from the public. The experiment was carried out in Brazil at a closed animal research center. The aim was to observe the long-term effects of cigarette smoke on living beings. Every day, the chimpanzees were locked in rooms filled with cigarette smoke for 3 hours. The air was prevented from escaping. The animals were forcibly made passive smokers. Within the first 2 months, 8 chimpanzees died due to shortness of breath, coughing fits, and immune system collapse. The lungs of the surviving chimpanzees showed chronic bronchitis and tissue deformation. The entire process was recorded, but no footage was ever released. After the experiment, the surviving monkeys were euthanized because data collection was complete. This incident came to light in 2006 through leaked internal company documents. The company made no statement.
4. Surveillance eagles, chip-equipped spies in the sky.
In recent years, it's not just birds flying in the sky, but also chip-equipped eagles fitted with surveillance devices. The first case emerged in 2021 on the India-Pakistan border. A GPS tracking device, microcamera, and metallic antenna were found on an eagle captured by the Pakistani army. The eagle was recorded as a biological spy sent by India. This incident was not isolated. In the same year, 7 more eagles were captured with similar equipment in some regions of China. The process of implanting chips in these birds is carried out before the animal is released. The chip is usually surgically implanted near the spine. This turns the eagle into a drone that can secretly track its route and broadcast live. The data is transmitted to the center via satellites. 5. The experiment that drove cows crazy with electricity, Germany 1985. In 1985, in an experiment conducted in Munich, Germany, and kept completely secret from the public, 30 dairy cows were exposed to high-voltage electromagnetic fields. The team conducting the experiment aimed to artificially increase the cow's milk yield. However, the method used was extremely radical. Each cow was subjected to a barrage of 50,000-volt magnetic waves for 4 hours a day. This was a dangerous level of power capable of damaging the cellular structure of living tissue. On the third day of the experiment, 3 cows died from sudden nervous breakdowns. The remaining 27 cows exhibited behavioral disorders at varying levels. Some became unable to walk, while others began spinning around in circles. There was also a significant drop in milk production. 5 cows were euthanized due to permanent neurological damage. 6 horses deprived of water. Romania 1976. In 1976, a secret experiment conducted in Romania for military purposes aimed to eliminate horses' dependence on water. According to this project, the plan was to develop animals capable of surviving without water for military units undertaking long expeditions. The experiment was conducted at a facility near Bucharest. A total of 10 horses were forced to consume a sodium-based saline solution instead of normal water. Within the first 48 hours, the horses exhibited weakness, loss of balance, and excessive sweating. By the end of the 3rd day, 6 horses had died due to severe dehydration and kidney failure. The remaining 4 horses became unable to walk. The experiment data was kept confidential. However, documents published by a researcher in 1991 indicated that the horses had suffered irreversible organ damage. This experiment went down in history as one of the examples of deliberate cruelty against animal physiology. 7 War on Bats, Iran's Sonic Weapon Test, 2003. In 2003, an unusual experiment was conducted by the Iranian military at a secret military facility in Tehran. The aim was to test the effect of high-frequency sound waves on biological organisms. 40 bats were exposed to ultrasonic sound waves at a frequency of 55 kHz. This frequency was chosen because it disrupts bats' natural sonar systems. The results of the experiment were striking. 35 of the bats lost their balance due to the sound waves, lost their ability to navigate, and died after colliding with each other or surrounding objects. The remaining 5 bats showed signs of severe trauma. The experiment was recorded as a military report and covered with a veil of secrecy. While the report revealed the potential of sonic weapons, it also sparked ethical debates. Could this technology be adapted for human targets? This experiment showed how destructive the results of genetically resetting the emotional codes of living beings could be. The documents were never disclosed to the public. 8. The Nazis' Human-Monkey Hybrid Project, USA 1947. In 1947, in a completely secret laboratory in the U.S. state of Florida, an experiment was conducted to mix human and monkey genetics. This experiment was initiated by scientists who had fled Nazi Germany. Brought to the U.S. under Operation Paperclip, this team attempted to inseminate female chimpanzees with human sperm. A total of 12 female monkeys were used as test subjects in this experiment. Although the official purpose of the experiment was recorded as understanding genetic boundaries, the real goal was to produce a hybrid creature, a new species with near-human intelligence that could be controlled. No live births occurred during these experiments, which lasted from 1947 to 1950. However, 3 female chimpanzees were recorded as experiencing hormonal changes similar to pregnancy. After the experiment, the embryo remains were destroyed. No ethical approval was obtained because the experiment was illegal from the outset. The information came to light during an archive lawsuit filed in 1975. 9. Sound-insensitive tigers, the Soviet Behavior Control Experiment, 1960. In 1960, the Soviet Union launched a secret military experiment to use tigers to instill fear of the enemy. Codename, Operation Tiger. The goal was to desensitize the tigers to loud noises, gunfire and explosions, turning them into controllable living weapons on the battlefield. The experiment was conducted at a secret facility near Moscow. 4 Siberian tigers were exposed for hours to 120 decibel sound shocks, machine gun fire, and explosion noises in a specially constructed sound chamber. The goal: to suppress the fear reflex and condition the animal. During this process, the tigers were also injected with sedatives and adrenal hormones to reduce stress levels. Within the first week, 1 tiger died of a brain hemorrhage. The other tigers exhibited behavioral disorders, uncontrolled aggression, refusal to eat, and self-harm. The experiment was halted within 2 weeks because the animals had become dangerous. The remaining 3 tigers were shot and killed.
10. Mind-expanding toxin. LSD expériment en octopus, USA 2018.
In an experiment conducted in the United States in 2018, scientists administered LSD, a hallucinogen, to octopuses to study their consciousness and social behavior. The experiment was conducted by the Marine Biological Laboratory in California. Species tested: octopus bimaculoides, 2-spotted California octopus. Octopuses are generally solitary animals with limited interaction with other creatures. In the experiment, 7 octopuses were exposed to microdoses of LSD, dose 20g/kg, mixed into the water for 10 minutes. The effects began immediately. These creatures, which are normally programmed to stay away from each other, sought contact after the LSD, wrapped their arms around each other, and exhibited social behavior. This situation caused astonishment in the scientific world. 11. Odorless Animal Project. They removed the odor from cows, Japan 1982. In a secret biotechnology experiment conducted in Osaka, Japan, in 1982, scientists aimed to completely eliminate the body odor of cows. The idea behind the experiment was to prevent the odors emitted by animals, especially during the summer months, from attracting flies and parasites. The goal was to increase livestock productivity and reduce the use of drugs. A total of 50 cows underwent surgical intervention on their scent-producing glands. Additionally, odor-suppressing chemicals were added to the cow's feed. During the first week of the experiment, skin infections began in 18 cows. Some writhed in pain due to excessive itching and skin peeling. By the end of the first month, 6 cows had died, while the others struggled to survive in an infected state. The animals' lack of odor compromised their immune systems. 12. Night vision rabbits, Canada 2005. In 2005, an experiment on animal genetics conducted in Toronto, Canada, was quietly terminated without making an impact in the scientific community. The goal of the experiment was to alter the rabbit's eye structure to give them night vision. In the study, conducted at a laboratory affiliated with the University of Toronto, phosphoproteins and genes carrying night vision pigment were injected into rabbit embryos. 4 of the 6 rabbits born were subjected to orientation tests in completely dark environments. Result: these rabbits were able to find their way out of the maze without light. However, the dark side of the experiment soon became apparent. 2 of the rabbits completely lost their eyesight due to infections in their eyes. The others developed cataract-like deformities as a result of genetic intervention.
13. Radio-controlled killer fish, Cuba 1970.
In 1970, Cuba, with the support of the Soviet Union, carried out an experiment rarely seen in world history. 4 sharks released off the coast of Havana were designed to be remotely controlled via radio receivers implanted in their bodies. Attempts were made to control their direction, speed, and aggressiveness by sending signals through devices implanted in their brainstems. The goal of the experiment was to create living weapons for submarine defense in the event of a potential enemy invasion. During initial tests, the sharks partially responded to commands, but the system soon went out of control. 3 sharks unexpectedly headed for the beach area and attacked people. The experiment was abruptly halted after the incident, and the information was covered up by Cuban state security. The fate of the 4th shark remains unknown. 14. The Talking Dolphin Experiment, LSD, Human Contact, and Scientific Betrayal, USA 1965. In 1965 in the USA, a NASA-supported project attempted to teach dolphins human language. The project was called the Dolphin House Experiment. Neurologist Dr. John Lilly led the experiment, which was conducted at a special facility in Florida. The name of the dolphin at the center of the experiment, Peter. The goal was to get dolphins to produce human sounds and enable them to communicate with humans. To this end, Peter was left alone in a closed room with a female researcher for weeks. The woman made Peter repeat human words for 8 hours a day. However, Peter began to develop dependence on humans and sexually oriented behavior. The dark side of the story: Dr. Lilly began injecting Peter with LSD. Under the influence of LSD, the dolphin became dazed, tried to mimic the words but failed. The experiment was halted due to ethical crises. Peter was sent to another facility and soon after drowned himself. 15. Fearless Genetically Modified Mice, Russia 2018. An experiment conducted in 2018 at a biotechnology laboratory in Novosibirsk, Russia, witnessed a radical intervention in animal psychology. The aim of the experiment was to completely eliminate the feeling of fear in mice, that is, to genetically produce fearless creatures. Scientists targeted the amygdala region in the mice's brains, applying genetic modification that suppressed fear signals in this area. 20 mice were subjected to the intervention. After the tests began, the mice showed no reaction to stimuli they would normally flee from, such as cat urine and loud noises. They also boldly exhibited natural fear-inducing behaviors, such as standing in open areas and climbing to high places. However, the effects were short-lived. In the second week, the mice experienced a sudden drop in immunity, malnutrition, and internal organ damage. 12 mice died of organ failure, while the others became dysfunctional.